I said earlier on in the stream that they're thinking of doing this 15-minute city thing. I live in Leeds, just in case you didn't realise. I'm a northern lass. Tom, on his local Nextdoor app, he has all of the juicy conspiracy theories about 15-minute cities. The 100 councils who want to implement the 15-minute cities, the residents who haven't consented, had any involvement with, and who don't want it. My Control, Freak Council, Plymouth are on the list. Angry Face and Cornwall Council too. Plymouth, set to become a 15-minute city. Severe driving restrictions as part of the Agenda 2130 are to be rolled out across Plymouth later this year. The city will be divided into zones where roads will be subject to bollards and face I think they mean a number of plate recognition cameras. The full plans are somewhat sketchy as we are still in the stealth period. Although by typing into Google will help reveal the plans. It seems they want the public to remain within 15 minutes of walking/cycling distance from the home rather than driving into the city centre. That's the funniest part about this. They're like, guys, they're in a stealth period. They're trying to hide all of this from us. But if you Google 15-minute cities, then you'll find all of the answers. I'll explain what the 15-minute cities are. Got some explanations. Like, overall, they seem like a pretty good thing. You know, there's caveats to this whole thing, but I'll show you what the general concept is of a 15-minute city.
Before the recent lockdowns around the world,
And, like, this has been a concept for a very long time. You can see this video is 2 years old.
we led hectic lives with long commutes and not enough time to spend with our families and friends. Traffic polluted our air.
What if we could create a new normal where we reclaim our time, our health and well-being, and our communities?
This is the idea behind the 15-minute city, a growing movement to make our lives in cities more convenient, less stressful, and more sustainable. A 15-minute city is one where everything we need is close to home, where communities are safe and inclusive, where the air is clean.
A 15-minute city is one where it's easy to get goods and services. Fresh groceries, healthcare, and other amenities are all just a short trip away. A 15-minute city is one where everyone has a place.
A 15-minute city means that you can work close to home or work remotely more often.
And we all play a role in our neighborhood.
What if we don't go back to life as it was? What if we already have the power to change how we live? Together, we can reimagine and create the future we want.
I mean, that video makes it look very sort of propaganda driven. But when I see a video like that looks so like corporatized, automatically makes me think, what's really going on here? You know?
Could Paris be the first city to ban cars completely?
Yes! Fuck cars!
The Eiffel Tower is partially hidden by the grey mist of pollution. A 2018 report by Greenpeace ranks Paris as the second worst polluting European city in a list of 13. The capital systematically fails to meet the EU air quality targets of particle emissions. The European Justice Court even condemned France in 2019 for systematically and persistently exceeding the annual limit value for nitrogen dioxide. But the French capital held a grim record in 2015 when it hit the highest peak of pollution.
I remember this from when I was researching my climate change video, though. The statistic of deaths caused by pollution worldwide. There was a Harvard study done. Fossil fuel air pollution responsible for 1 in 5 deaths worldwide, guys. Like, that was the most like insane study that I looked at when I was researching my climate change video. It's the kind of impact of climate change that we really don't consider. Like, we consider it in terms of climate change as a whole, which is also a really fucking bad thing because that affects everyone. But also, like, we don't consider the gases that we're breathing in every single day. Like, we're all breathing this shit in every single day. And because it doesn't literally go around like stabbing people in the chest, it just kills people slowly and invisibly. We don't really think about it as like something that's murdering people. But that's actually the biggest killer of people worldwide. It's not only heating up the planet adverse weather events that we've never experienced before that will kill millions of people, it's also actually killing loads of people right fucking now in very invisible ways that we don't really acknowledge, you know? It's insane. Fossil fuel realism, you can imagine the end of the world before you can imagine the end of fossil fuels. People don't fucking talk about this shit. That in itself, we don't talk about how quickly it's heating up the world and how quickly we need to literally stop doing that shit right now. But also we don't talk about how the pollution and the fact that people are breathing that shit in every day is literally killing people.
So, is getting rid of cars completely a utopian vision with too many inherent contradictions?
Si on veut pas que Paris devienne une ville musée, je vois pas très bien comment on peut se passer de voiture.
Everyone's so fucking car-pilled. Why is everyone so fucking obsessed with using cars? It pisses me off. Oh, I need a car to do this. I need a car to do that. But why? You think you need a car to do that because public transport is fucking dog shit. That's why you think you need a car to do that thing.
Pour permettre de satisfaire des besoins impératifs. Et j'ai dit, oui, la voiture individuelle en socialisme, zéro.
How will I compensate for my tiny penis without a 2-ton SUV? I don't know. Andrew Tate has proved that people need Bugattis to even be a man. So, I mean, I don't know how we're going to move on from that as a society anytime soon.
We've got some bad news for you, I'm afraid. One of the most effective socialist conspiracies we had going has been rumbled. The detective work was done by none other than the Conservative MP for Don Valley.
Will the leader please set aside some time in this House for a debate on the international socialist concept of so-called 15-minute cities and 20-minute neighbourhoods? Ultra-low emission zones in their present form do untold economic damage to any city. However, the second step after these zones will take away personal freedoms as well. Sheffield is already on this journey, and I do not want Doncaster, which is also a Labour-run socialist council, to do the same. Low emission zones cost the taxpayer money, simple as. However, 15-minute cities will cost us our personal freedom, and that cannot be right.
That was the remarkable...
People are so fucking car-pilled, though. I feel like this is even more insane in America than it is in the UK. Like, we still have the car-pilled culture here. In the US, it's even worse because all of your cities were literally built around being car-pilled. But in the UK, like our cities and our towns, a lot of them were built many, like hundreds of years ago before we even had cars. But they've since been sort of like bodged to try and accommodate cars in very sort of weird ways. What I just said reminded me, this is something that's very close to my hometown. It's legendary on YouTube and it's called Rufford Ford. It's very close to where I come from. It's a road that goes through like a river, basically. A lot of idiots drive their cars through it when it's like properly flooded. People literally camp out next to fucking Rufford Ford after a day of heavy rain just to watch the cars.
Hello enough.
You're a loser.
Yep. Oh look, no, it's got the styling of a Nismo Duke, but it's not actually a Nismo. Look, that's the Nismo. That's a imposter. Old Defender 90. We have a cheering audience now, and the fake Nismo is back again. What a nice pair. Here it goes. Oh, the BMW's in the show us how it's done. Setting up for something. Here it comes. 0 to 60, well, 0 to 30-ish. 40? Something is equipped with a siren is a warning to everyone to say, I am coming through at a great speed.
That's what you got to do, though. If you want to go through Rufford Ford, you've got to literally put your foot on the gas and just fucking go for it. You can't go slowly. You have to fucking go for it.
What rules, you sons of bitches?
Thank you, Badger! That's not a road! Oh my god, where's he going? Why are they going up the street? fucking get wet. How did I get onto this? Like, this is how deep it gets, and people still try to drive through it.
Oh, you don't want to stop. Yeah, the racing brakes are steamy already from their track day they've just been on. They've dipped their toes in. They're just going very, very slowly. It's about 10 revolutions per minute. The dog's watching their face as it unfolds. I would not recommend the starlet. No, the passenger's like, no. None of us want to get our toes wet. Of course he wouldn't give that a go. The MX-5 looks like he wants to have a go. Oh, the exhaust is doing a wee.
Are they going to do it? Are they going to do it?
There it is.
Oh, no! Oh, a trailer! A trailer!
Not a lot of splashing today, fortunately for these guys.
He's fucking made it.
Pretty awkward when all eyes are on him. He's taking his shoes off and he's going in. They've made a little water feature out the side of the car.
Moist cussy! Oh, he had to climb out of his window! Oh, no! Oh, his back bumper came off! Guy absolutely slams his foot down on accelerator through Rufford Ford. Instantly regrets it. What's that noise? What's that noise? Oh, that doesn't sound good. Oh, shit. Why is that part of the road like that? This is literally how we got here in the first place. This is where the moon tangent started. You couldn't have a train going through this. This is why cars are better than trains, guys. You'd never have this excitement with trains. Oh, shit, look at that. Why would you do that to your car? Why would you choose to do that? Why? Look at that. It's fucking ruined. Oh, no! It's a bin lorry. Oh, the bin lorry just went straight through. No problems whatsoever. The police. The popo. Yeah, they made it through fine. Unfortunately, the popo made it through fine. All right, that's enough. That's enough Rufford Ford content.
He was drawing upon a broader right-wing paranoia about walkable cities.
You will only have 15 minutes of freedom here in the UK.
Oh, Katie Hopkins,
so let me tell you
baby. You know, she's going to have a fucking brilliant take. You know, Katie Hopkins is going to have the best take.
The plan is in Oxford, and this has just been passed by the council, to divide the city here into, a bit of a squiggly city, into 6 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's the Hunger Games, baby! They're bringing the Hunger Games back!
And you will only have the freedom to operate in the part that you live. So if this is you, the idea is that everybody will live within 15 minutes of the things they need. 15 minutes of a school, 15 minutes of a doctor's, 15 minutes of a supermarket. And if you want to travel to the other zones...
What they're trying to do is ensure that you're able to get to that supermarket within 15 minutes without having to use a car in any capacity. The whole thing is about disincentivizing people to use cars. That's the point of the whole fucking thing.
You will have to journey around the outside of the city in order to...
Everyone against this is so incredibly car-pilled. They can't get around it in their heads like, how the fuck would I ever get anywhere without using a car? I don't understand how I could ever get anywhere without using a car. Everyone's so fucking insanely car-pilled.
Enter another section of the city. This plan is supposed to be saving the planet. And the idea is that you won't simply be able to cross over into other sections of your city anymore. So if your mother, for example, lived over here, you wouldn't be able to just go across and see her.
You would if you didn't insist on getting in a car to do so, which you don't need to do. Why do you think that you need to get into a car just to go into the next section of the city? These people think that they're all about freedom. But they're literally so fucking capitalism pilled that they think they need a car and they think they need oil to do literally everything. You fucking don't. You don't realize that there could be solutions that are socially funded, that would allow you to do everything that you want to do in your life, including seeing your mother that's in the next district over in your city. You do realize that you could either just fucking walk there or maybe just take a bus there. Like, probably easier and cheaper than you having your own private mode of transportation. No, freedom means me being in my own little metal box to get to that tiny other little section of the city to see my mother that I pay fucking tons of fucking money for.
Electronic gates and number plate recognition. You in your area will only be allowed within that 15-minute zone that you've been allocated. The number plate recognition will know if you leave your zone. And you can apply for permission, a permit to leave your zone and travel to another zone, but you'll only be allowed to do this about 100 times a year. This is real.
That's like, honestly, probably way more than you actually need, though. Consider how much you've been brainwashed into thinking you need to use your car to do everything. Absolutely, probably way more than you actually need to use your own personal mode of transport 100 times a year.
This is actually being passed by Oxford Council. This is happening in the next 2 years, 2024, it begins.
What Katie Hopkins is talking about there is a traffic management scheme. The traffic filters work in exactly the same way as the existing traffic cameras in High Street and are widely used in cities across the UK to manage congestion and support public transport. Residents will still be able to drive to every part of the city at any time, but in the future, during certain times of the day, you may need to take a different route. For example, using the ring road. That's if you want to travel by car. The reason we have proposed these changes is because, as everyone who lives and visits Oxford knows, the city has had awful congestion for decades. This is damaging both our economy and our environment and is making the bus network unviable. Our aim is to reduce traffic levels and congestion, make the buses faster and more reliable, and make cycling and walking safer and more pleasant. 2 weeks after that statement, Jordan Peterson tweeted, The idea that neighbourhoods should be walkable is lovely. The idea that idiot tyrannical bureaucrats can decide by fiat where you're allowed to drive is perhaps the worst imaginable perversion of that idea. And make no mistake, it's part of a well-documented plan.
To do what, Jordan? I fucking wish these right-wing grifters would be specific. What do they think is the actual end goal of this? It's like they're trying to stoke fear, but like vague reasons as to why these people are stoking fear in the first place. Why do you think the World Economic Forum is advocating for this? It's a good idea to make cities livable and walkable. It's because they've basically eventually realized far too late that actually this is the best way to build cities. Because, like, let's be honest, the World Economic Forum is all about capitalism. So that's making, like, loads of people think that there's something untoward going on here. And, like, I get it, you should be very suspicious of what these people are up to. But I think the reason that they're advocating for this sort of thing now is because they're realizing, holy shit, climate change is actually a thing that's actually going to happen now. And we've left it far too late to do anything about it. So the people who meet up in the World Economic Forum are like, well, what changes can we make to like try and sort of delay climate change happening a little bit? But it's like now they've left it far too late. So they're trying to implement all of these changes way quicker than society is able to deal with. Because don't get me wrong, they're still acting in the interests of capital. You've got to placate the working class to the point where you give them just enough quality of life that they don't revolt at the same time, you know?
What Katie Hopkins is rallying against there, she says there are going to be 6 parts of the city. You're describing city quarters. Those have literally existed since we had cities.
Have you heard of the Northern Quarter in Manchester?
There are multiple quarters. You go to Paris, there are multiple quarters. You're describing a city before the 1960s that you can't just drive right through the city centre. That's how cities work. Now, you can say it's a good thing. We shouldn't go back. It's fine. But the idea it's part of some Machiavellian, top-down, global conspiratorial revolution overseen by socialist World Economic Forum elites is painfully wrong, okay? We're going back purely to how cities and towns were configured until 60 years ago. That doesn't make sense to me. And on Jordan Peterson's point, Michael, the idea, I'm not even going to do his voice, but listen, Sonny Jim. He does these.
Is Aaron Bastani about to try a Jordan Peterson impression? I mean, I tried it. It didn't go very well.
Phrases. The idea that, I don't know how the phrase you said, Michael, that bureaucrats can manage traffic. Well, yes, that's what they do, Jordan. Can you imagine if this chap was around and he was driving cars and all of a sudden somebody invented traffic lights and roundabouts?
That's the thing, though. They're all up in arms about they're going to install cameras that will read your license plates. And if you go into another district of the city over your 100 allowed trips into another part of the city per year, then they're going to fine you. It's like this shit has been going on in cities forever. Barely any difference from what anything that happens in cities in the UK anyway. And they're acting like this is a completely new thing and it's like really authoritarian. This is shit that's been going on forever, and they're just trying to disincentivize you from using your car. That's all they're trying to do. My freedom.
And zebra crossings. He would say you're inhibiting my liberty. How dare you put a traffic light there? You're managing the traffic. You're stopping my motion where I want to go. You're inhibiting my freedom. They would. These people would rally against one-way streets, traffic lights, parking meters, presumably parking spots, any kind of traffic management. Signs?
The crypto bros in particular are just fucking loving this. They're very against this.
The World Economic Forum, or WEF, published an article about the popularity of so-called 15-minute cities and presented this deceptive picture of Google search trends for the term as evidence.
Ooh.
As you can clearly see, this search term wasn't popular until recently. More importantly, the recent spike in popularity is not due to widespread support, but widespread opposition.
Yeah, this was JBP's tweet about it. The idea that neighborhoods should be walkable is lovely, but the idea that tyrannical bureaucrats can decide by fiat where you're allowed to drive is perhaps the worst imaginable perversion of that idea. It's part of a well-documented plan.
Today, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about 15-minute cities, including who is behind them, where they're being tried, and why they're the exact opposite of what the WEF has advertised.
It's great that these crypto bros are being so skeptical of the WEF, but they sort of, it's like that meme, a car going straight down a road, and then there's they veer off down the conspiracy slip road.
The idea of the 15-minute city is basically the belief that existing cities can and should be transformed and divided into districts where everything is available within 15 minutes of walking or cycling. Although this concept of...
Oh yeah, I just noticed his shirt. I really need to see this shirt. Is it on his merch store? Oh my God. First of all, we were making transactions with shells. Then we moved on to gold bullion. Then we moved on to rings. Then we evolved to credit cards. And then we evolved to Bitcoin. Neanderthals were trading gold, all right?
Everything within arm's reach has been around for decades and was tried in places like the Soviet Union. The term 15-minute city was only coined in 2016 by Carlos Moreno. Now, Carlos is a Colombian-born city planner who's been teaching at French universities since the 1980s. Now, what's interesting is that the concept of a 15-minute city didn't really take off until the start of the pandemic in early 2020. The story goes...
I'm sorry, I have to read this poster that he has behind him. I'm so intrigued by crypto bros. Cryptocurrencies. Everything you don't understand about money, combined with everything you don't understand about computers. Is there more to this quote, or is that it?
Really take off until the start of the pandemic in early 2020. The story goes that city planners in Paris noticed that people would stay in their local areas because of the pandemic. The thing is that Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, was apparently planning on dividing the city into 15-minute districts months before the pandemic actually began. For context, Anne has been the mayor of Paris since 2014, and Carlos has been working on, quote, digital and sustainable smart cities since the early 2000s. Not surprisingly, Anne is a part of the WEF and has been a contributor to its global agenda. Surprisingly, Carlos is not part of the
global
WEF,
agenda.
Not yet. For those unfamiliar, the SDGs are a set of 17 goals created by the United Nations, which are supposed to be met by all member countries by 2030. But in reality, prescribe the creation of terrifying technologies like digital ID. If you watched our video about digital ID, you'll know that the UN's SDGs are being pushed. In practice, 15-minute cities mean setting up cameras everywhere to keep track of where everyone is driving to ensure that they do not leave their designated district too frequently.
Let me just remind you, there's already cameras everywhere in every city in the UK. This is nothing new. Nothing new.
In the case of Oxford, these boundaries will be enforced through traffic filters that will automatically issue fines to violating.
This already exists. You fucking drive into a city in the UK. It's already a fucking thing. They're acting like this is an entirely new thing. Like this surveillance is new. It's already fucking been there. So many people are still using their cars to get into the city centre. And that's unsustainable.
The pilot is tentatively scheduled for the start of 2024, and it will see the City of Oxford.
Yes, it does translate into fines for more poor people than rich people. Yeah, it does. You do have to incentivize people into using public transport somehow in this system that we're living under.
Those living in a particular area will be allowed to drive into other districts up to 100 times a year. After that, fines get issued. Now, this sounds like a lot until you realise that many people need to drive through several districts to commute to work.
That's the fucking point, though. Either walk there or invest in a bike or an electric bike to get there, or catch a bus or some sort of other form of public transport to get there. Because right now, the easiest option for anybody doing that kind of commute is to get in their own little fucking car and drive there. Which is fucking stupid. It's fucking ridiculous when you think about it. And it absolutely makes sense to disincentivize people to do that. But no, that's getting rid of our freedoms.
These concerns by saying that commuters could just use the ring roads outside of the main city. The community responded by pointing out that this would take a lot more time and cause a lot more pollution. And reducing pollution and car use is supposedly the purpose of the pilot. Meanwhile, the people of Oxford have continued to push back. And it's not just Oxford anymore either. Almost every video I watched about 15-minute cities had no shortage of criticism in the comments section. What's messed up is that you don't notice this opposition unless you scroll down, because YouTube removed all the dislikes.
Oh no!
So here
it's a
are
conspiracy!
A few of the gems I found in these comment sections. Quote, "The part they're leaving out is that you're not allowed to go more than 15 minutes away from home." Quote, "It's all about controlling the little people while the rich
that's not the
fly
case.
everywhere."
That's not even the fucking case. Like, what's he even going on about?
"The part they're leaving out is that you're not allowed to go more than 15 minutes away from home." Quote, "It's all about controlling the little people while the rich fly everywhere." And my personal favourite, quote, "This assumes that we will all be forcibly moved into cities. I do not accept that." Now, make no mistake, these criticisms are valid, and they are truly the tip of the iceberg. The most enraging part of it all is that the UN and all the other unaccountable and unelected institutions—
Oh god, they're even using the crypto bro terminology. Centralized versus decentralized.
—involved have repeatedly claimed that 15-minute cities will somehow make existing cities decentralized. This is patently false, because districts in 15-minute cities will be close together and centrally controlled. If you watched our video about population decline, you'll know that the global population is not growing nearly as quickly as the UN is projecting.
Oh god, they even made a video about Elon Musk and his comments on population decline. I feel like this is what the crypto grift has become now, because they've realized that blockchain technology has no value behind it and the whole grift is coming to an end. What can we talk about now that will probably engage our audience that we've culminated here? Just general right-wing talking points? Yeah, probably. That'll probably work. Yeah. Why don't we talk about white replacement theory? Yeah, that'll probably work. And you know what? It probably fucking would.
Populations being geographically spread out into communities is the true definition of decentralization, and it's also one of the ways that people can avoid falling into this 15-minute fever dream.
I mean, like, that in itself is, like, quite based. Yeah, we shouldn't all be congregating around these massive cities. Smaller little towns and villages tend to be what kind of works a little bit better. What they think is going to happen in the long run is people are just going to congregate around these cities anyway, so they're kind of thinking, well, how can we segregate these cities into smaller communities?
If a community can secure its own food, water, shelter, and companionship, well then, its people won't need others to tell them how to live. The response from the central planners will be to declare that living in rural areas is bad for the environment and will introduce all manner of taxes, restrictions, anything they need to do to force people back into cities.
You're all going to be forced into cities, guys!
This will again be done by any means necessary, and recent events suggest that successive crises of some kind will be the solution. Once everyone has a digital ID that's linked to their wallets...
Here we go with the digital ID! They love tying all of this in with the whole digital ID thing. They fucking love it.
The population will be suitably pliable, and all in the name of the environment. Now, I want to say that this is some huge conspiracy, but the more that I research this stuff, the harder it becomes to look away from the truth. They know they will never have the manpower to maintain control, so the only solution is to make us all reliant on hardware and software which they can control, and people are starting to notice that too.
So guys, if they put it on the blockchain, there'd be no way that the elite could also control that. There'd be absolutely no way that the elite could control that. No! Peter Thiel would have no way of controlling that.
Never mind that the types of people who make revolutionary software and hardware are often motivated by more than money. To top it all off, centralized systems are inherently...
They're desperately trying to make this into the new grift for crypto coins. Guys, you don't like the sound of this 15-minute cities thing, do you? You might want to invest in my little coin. Let's see what the 15-minute cities hashtag is saying on TikTok.
If you're from the UK, then I strongly suggest you watch this video because once again, the Tories are proving to us...
I don't understand TikTok as a platform. Why is he jumping around his room while talking about this? Just sit down in a chair.
They're very, very big fans of Black Mirror because they're trying to make our lives exactly fucking like it, right? And what are they doing now, I hear you asking?
You see, this is the kind of content where I think, am I too old?
I can tell you, let the random lat skin from TikTok be the bearer of more bad news. I'm going to roll my sleeves up for this one because it might just be the best fucking idea that the Tories have had yet, right? They're trying to introduce something called 15-minute cities. Now, what is 15-minute city? I hear you wondering, right? This is literally something straight out of a fucking dystopian movie plot, yeah? They're going to divide cities and they're experimenting with this in Oxford right now. Go on the government website, give it a little Google, have a look. This is real fucking life.
I love how zoomer the comments are. Nah, I'm done with the UK. Skull crying emoji.
I'm not chatting shit, I'm not waffling. This is all literally being done right in front of your fucking eyes right now. You don't even know what's happening, right? Dividing up towns, cities, etc. into little 15-minute zones, right? They want to have everything in these 15-minute zones. They're going to have like a school, they're going to have shops, etc., right? And you're going to have to apply for a fucking permit, right? A permit.
A fucking
to
permit.
Your zone, right? It means if you want to go up to fucking Scotland to visit Auntie Susie, oh, you need a permit to do that.
My guy, are you trying to visit Auntie Susie over 100 times per year? If you are the most committed nephew I have ever seen.
Please listen to this.
Oh yes, we've got a boomer tape.
Caravan or a static caravan in the picturesque area.
If you've got a boomer caravan, a static caravan, you need to listen.
If you enjoy going for country walks or seeing your relatives that live out of town, or if you just enjoy going for a drive in the country, or seeing the coast.
If you enjoy being incredibly middle class, you can tell how fucking rich this woman is just from the setting that she's filming this TikTok in. Look at how fucking big that kitchen is. Is she doing this from her husband's TikTok account as well? That says Mr. Paul Booker.
15-minute city going to benefit you. See, the problem is with this hype that you're being sold about the 15-minute cities being good for the planet is typical of councils. They've paid architects and drawers to come up with these plans. They'll have paid them thousands, especially for Oxford. They even put it out to consultation and 98% of people rejected it, but they went ahead anyway.
I just fucking love the comments, I'm sorry. It's not about climate, it's about tyranny. If councils force a 15-minute city, then everybody should stop paying council tax.
Going to do it. They're going to sell you the idea that you can live your entire life within 15 minutes of your house to save the planet. And whilst you're doing that, 2 billion Chinese people will be getting on living their life just as they like.
Oh my God. We had to inject a little bit of xenophobia in, didn't we?
China is allowed to use fossil fuels and in fact increase the use of fossil fuels indefinitely, according to the Paris Accord, because China gets foreign aid and is considered a growing economy. India's in the same boat too. They've no intention of getting anywhere near zero until 2070. That's when they're going to have a go. But it's not a promise.
Have a go.
Unlike Britain.
Have a go.
Who's tied ourselves into it. You're going to be told that the 15-minute cities will have everything you need.
Let me see what you got.
But the trouble is, the planners are going to put the traffic system in before they've put the infrastructure. So all these empty promises they've made about you'll be able to get to a supermarket, a doctor's, a hospital, how? They're not changing the cities. They're just zoning it out and putting cameras up, intent on fining you for moving about in a manner they don't see fit. So if you do any of the following that I've just listed, please pay attention to what's going on in your town because it will be happening to you if you don't resist. All about getting to net zero. Well, 4 billion people in China and India and other countries are following. Please listen to this.
Shit, my guy! You didn't even finish your point. Learn how to use TikTok.
And remember, kids, the next time that somebody tells you the government wouldn't do that, oh yes they would.
15-minute cities, people dropping dead. Weather what? Mass brainwashing, harmful chemicals in all our food, engineered illnesses. Oh God. Child trafficking, experimenting on humans. Where are you getting all of this information? Ugh, she got it figured out. Yeah, conspiracy bingo. This is how fucking car-pilled people are in the UK. They're building up these barriers to try and get people to not use their cars in urban areas. This is what they're doing in the dead of night.
In the dead of night, a hooded figure removes a base plate for a bollard, then pours cement into the hole. The aim, to make it hard to install a new one.
This guy's just going around with a fucking jerry can full of concrete just to stop the council from stopping cars going down this road. This is how fucking car-pilled everybody is.
Do you mind if we ask you for Rebel News why you've come here today?
Really, it's because this is the beginning of something bad. Well, it's the continuation of something bad. We had LTNs in London, in my area, and they just meant that it caused traffic everywhere because people were having to drive distance around places instead of just going from A to B, they're going A via G to B.
To disincentivize you from using your car. If people really thought that they still had to use their car to make that particular journey, maybe there's a separate issue. More investment into public transport. If you're so fucking angry that you couldn't get somewhere.
The whole scheme of 15-minute cities isn't just here in the UK, it's everywhere. And so they're implementing this throughout the world, slowly, without telling the people the real motive behind it. The motive behind it is to basically tie down people to areas where they can go and not go. And later on, that will mean biometric tracking for all of us, like in China.
So frustrating how people can't fucking comprehend the actual surveillance that's already fucking happening. You probably have a fucking smartphone in your pocket right now. Am I right? Do you realise how much that fucking smartphone knows about you? They do not need to surveil you in this way. They've already know everything about you. You've already got a little rectangle in your pocket that you take with you everywhere, that you willingly type in all of your deepest, darkest secrets into.
That they pay for everything.
Oh my God, is that right, said Fred?
Elizabeth, my love. Too sexy for
Love is going to leave me. I'm too sexy for authoritarian 15-minute cities.
British people just need to be reminded that they pay for everything. They are the masters, and councils throughout the country are the servants. And until the servants need to relearn their role.
What happened to being too sexy for your car, Fred?
You won't be allowed to leave your zone at all. So do not believe what these people tell you. Do not believe their assurances that it will be fair and equitable. Do not believe that it will have anything to do with saving the planet. It will not. It's designed to control, just as masks were designed to control. Just in the COVID thing was like an hors d'oeuvre. That's all it was. And you just have to join the dots. You know, you have Bill Gates, largest landowner in America. They're now encouraging people to eat bugs. Philly.
Guys, they want us to eat bugs. Everyone's gonna eat bugs. We're all gonna eat bugs. I love how these conspiracy theorists, they always they completely jump past. Maybe we should eat plant food to curtail climate change. They completely jump past that very obvious solution and land on the conclusion of they're gonna make us all eat bugs. Like, we have more than enough plants for everybody to eat and for everybody to have enough protein. I'm sorry for that vegan propaganda, but it's fucking true, my guys. We can all eat plants and live a very happy life. I eat so many beans. I'm very much alive, guys. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm very much alive.
I don't think we're actually designed to eat bugs, and so no, I'm not going to be eating bugs.
You don't need to eat bugs. It's such fucking propaganda. If you can't eat meat, that means you're going to have to eat bugs to be able to get the protein that you need in your diet. It's such propaganda. You don't need to eat bugs. Nobody's gonna have to eat bugs.
And one of the things that I advocate very, very strongly from my healing journey, I'm a self-healer from a near-death medical procedure, is that we need to be in community.
It's a plan by Big Bug. Oh shit.
What does that mean if you are looking after your elderly mum and she's in one of those 15-minute sections and you're in another one? And maybe
it's the same argument. They've all got the same argument. Different district to your dying mother. Why are you so reliant on your car to get to that other district? Fucking oil pilled that you think that you have to get into your personal little car to visit your mother.
Well, I used to go across, to the end of the Cowley Road within 2-3 minutes. Now it's taking me 25 minutes, just get to the Ring Road. And when I get to Ring Road is not moving.
It's so fucking tunnel visioned, isn't it? Cars are the only thing that fucking exists to these people. Cars, 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 cars.
So it's much open area around Ring Road, but still, pollution just moves with the wind.
Your anger is correctly placed, but please direct it into the council, asking them to pump more money into public transport. Please! No! The place to direct your anger!
So why is it important to leaflet today?
Because people...
Fucking right said Fred again.
I don't think people understand necessarily how undemocratic this is, the zoning of cities. So we're in Oxford today to leaflet. Ta-da! And it's just to explain the situation. Basically, for Oxfordshire...
I'm too sexy for my car. Too sexy for my car.
County Council. This has gone through on 2,111 votes. Yes, driven by one guy, Pete Sudbury. Not very democratic, so we just think people should be informed.
Today, it's been a very busy day. Lots of people have turned out to help. Are you happy with the turnout, and do you think it's been successful?
Yeah, I still don't know the numbers yet, but I think it was about 500. And it looks like we're going to leaflet the whole city. Some people have already said they're finished and they've done the whole lot. Part of a bigger thing. It's a thin end of a wedge of more control over it. Whereas a lot of people might think it's just inconvenience and bad for local business, but we want to just inform them that it's not just bad for local business and inconvenient, it's bad for their future.
It gives a bit of hope for the future that so many people actually do care about what's going on around us. And hopefully, on a day like this, it's brought to light to a lot more people exactly what's going on, because that's the main problem. a lot of people just don't know what's going on.
You're so fucking brainwashed into thinking you need your car.
I'm making piss.